So I feel like I don't want to use the word lazy, but I'm going to use the word lazy because I
In a world where people have different history and experiences, do you think it's possible to bridge the gap? Let's hear in the comments if you think we successfully bridged the gap with the groups in this episode.
When I was a little child, I used to think because we used to, people who had to leave Ghana for America had to sit in a plane and then arrive in America. I used to think they were from the heavens. They were different aliens, and they were saints, and there was no evil in that land, and it was all rosy. And I mean, like, I used to think like heavenly, everything was perfect about them. Those were the thoughts I had about Americans. And most of the time it was because of how we watched movies here, the things they showed to us in the movies. Yeah, I believe so much of everything about them was perfect. Yes, so that was it.
growing up, my thoughts on Africans, I think I know from a very early age what America does best, and that's paint this portrait of they're the best country ever, and everyone outside of that country is poor and impoverished and uneducated, and I never bought into any of that. I was always extremely inquisitive growing up and wanting to know my quote unquote roots, wanting to know this culture that was hidden from me in school. And so I was always the student pushing the envelope and asking questions and asking my parents, what is African American and what's the difference between African? Other than, I live here and Africans live in Africa. And how do we get back to our culture? How come we don't eat the same food? How come we don't dress this way? And so I almost was jealous in a sense, because living in America, unless you come from an African family who's migrated over, you don't get that. So I don't know my native tongue. I don't know where I'm from. I don't know any of those things. So it was always this thought echoing in my mind where, like, you need to figure out where you're from. And even coming back to Africa, I still don't know where I'm from. But from the very most, when I got off the plane, it felt like home.
I've realized we are not any much different from each other. We are practically the same. It's just that maybe for color and sometimes even the texture of her hair, you get it? Because we are in a very hot zone, so we don't get to have long hairs. Like they have, mostly Africans have the short, bushy styled hair. And then even if you were fair, you had some little bit of darkness behind it, and blah blah blah. And then what else apart from accent, which is a clear difference? We are not any much different from each other. Maybe the foods we enjoy, we are not any much different from each other. Yeah.
I definitely agree with we're almost the same, just living in a different part of the world. Like if you have family in California and you have family in Georgia or family in Jersey or New York, you tailor your dress, your hairstyle to that particular environment. Coming from Texas, it is quite hot, but the accessibility of what is there is probably quite different than what's available here. So many foods just ran through my head just now. So many things just ran through my head right now.
Jeez. Her fufu was just so nice.
I really, so I've had like peanut soup and stuff like that. My mom used to make it, but it's having something new. I eat plantains all the time, so I really like kilawele or light soup with fufu. I love soup, so anything like that is going to be a yes for me.
Favorite food? I think it would be rice. And anything with chicken in it. Yeah. So basically that's it. I don't think I enjoy all the yummy ones. I'm not really a fan of it because I'm very particular about greens and vegetables and blah blah blah. So that's it for me. Yes, I have lots of favorite music from um, from the USA. I remember today also I was asking her if she was a fan of Beyonce. And she was like, practically she really isn't. But it was a shock to me because I love Beyonce's songs. Right from the time when she was in Destiny's Child with the other two ladies. I've loved almost every song of hers, and I've loved Michael Jackson all my life, even though he's no longer with us. May he so rest in peace. And yes, so when it comes to songs from Michael Jackson, today, Speechless was playing, and when it comes to Beyonce, it's a very old song. I'm a Survivor, but I really love that song very much. Yeah, I don't know. It's Tupac.
I like Tupac.
I love Tupac. Everything about Tupac's song, from Changes
Yeah.
to Dear Mama to, I mean, all of Tupac's songs are legendary.
I listen to a lot of Caribbean music, a lot of reggae. I have some songs that I've Shazammed since I've been here, and I've been putting together my playlist.
Yes.
So yes.
First of all, language. Yes. And I think cultural differences, I don't know, but I've realized one thing, that education has a way of nullifying the extremities that could have existed between both of us from different environments, because we get to study things that are globally accepted. So it's like it has a point, an apex where we are all conniving at. So the more educated we are from any part of the world, the lesser you could tell how different we are from each other. That's what I've realized, because on a thinking span, it's like we think a certain way. Sometimes people are defined by the way they reason, the way they do their things, the way they think certain things are acceptable and should be done. But what I've realized is the cultural differences are not so pronounced. Our sense of style, basically, we are wearing almost here, and the way we wear our hair, I'm African, so I realized I wear twists just like she wears twists, and maybe there's not so much difference, basically. Yeah, I don't see it.
I think the main difference that I saw was within an age group, and that's when gender really struck me, seeing what girls and women are allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. You and I had the conversation about
The shaving
of the head whenever you're at school, primary school, middle school, high school. It's unacceptable for girls, for women, to grow their hair out, and I think that that's absurd, you know, because the misconception is that she will be a distraction in class, she's going to be playing with her hair, she's going to get too much attention. So it's dehumanizing the woman, the girl, at a very young age to think that individuality, feminism, or beauty are things that you should aspire to, that you should aspire not to have attention or feel confident or competent and comfortable in who you are as a woman and growing up. And that really has a lot of damaging effects to look amongst the sea of children and see little girls head shaved like little boys when they're not. They should be able to express their feminism and being a girl in the manner that is most comfortable to them. There was one little girl who actually had hair on her head, and my comment was, if she's such a distraction, is she failing? Is she disturbing the class? And the answer was no. So there's a lot of control in how women should be perceived, and that was definitely illuminating when going to the schools when it comes to gender and what's allowed and what isn't. For me, it would have to be, and it's frustrating as well, I want to throw that out there, the Uber and the Bolt drivers. They will cancel on you 10 times because it's either too far or like for instance, the other day, Richard and I, we were going literally up the street and our wait time for the Uber was 10 minutes. So he calls and he says, did you see my arrival time is 10 minutes. That's too late. You need to cancel and get someone else. So I feel like I don't want to use the word lazy, but I'm going to use the word lazy because I just think, well, back home in the States, your Uber wait time could be 8 to 12 minutes and you wait because there's traffic, there you could be dropping someone else off. So that was that aspect. And then the not wanting to accept trips that are tied to your credit card. If you are not paying in cash or paying with a card, Uber is just not going to be very friendly to you. They're going to cancel, they might even kick you out on the street. And I've never experienced anything like that in the States.
It's the bills. Maybe how you have to work your ass off, pay huge or enormous bills.
Definitely the most attractive within the people is everyone's willingness to help. And everyone, and it's so heartfelt and it feels genuine because asking the lady at the original, the best, oh, I want to learn your recipe. It wasn't like, oh no, this is family secret, and she wanted to share that part of her culture. She was happy that I loved her food so much that I wanted to come back for a cooking lesson. You can get some things like that in the States, but it's not very often. And definitely everyone's confidence in their culture. And again, I'm saying that because that's something that growing up I didn't particularly have because I've searched for my culture my entire life. And everyone is so profound on being a Ghanaian and what that means. And I think that's just a beautiful thing.
And I think the hair, I love the hair. I'd always wanted a long hair, but I've never had a long hair. But I remember when I traveled, I was growing, my hair was becoming softer, I was becoming longer. I was like, oh, so I could have had a longer hair. When I came back, it all went down like, yeah. So what I find interesting is the hair, how it grows long when we are all Africans. Like, yeah, that beautiful. Yes.
I do not. There's no one.
Hey, what are you trying to tell me?
Enamored with. I definitely think all of those people that I'm just enamored and blown away with have passed on. Hello, please. Where are you going? Uber. Is this a card or cash? Please change it to cash. I just started. What?
Michael Jackson singing Speechless. Speechless, speechless. It's how you make me feel when I'm with you.
And I have a